Good evening. So I just wanted to pop on really quickly. I have come up with a few little ideas today of how I can help because I know so many people are stressed and overwhelmed right now. There's a lot to be thinking about. There's a lot to overthink. And so I was thinking, what can I do to help in any way? Like, how can I contribute? And so I've come up with a couple of ideas today for families, for adults, parents, for children. And so I'm going to put those into action. I've got somebody helping me set up some bits and bobs tonight or tomorrow morning, and then I will make that available for people. So keep a lookout on my page. There's going to be some free resources over the next few weeks to help, particularly if you are a parent or you have children that are worried or you're worried about or you're worried yourself. There'll be something there for everybody. So I will be sharing that with you tomorrow at some point, so I'm definitely going to do that. And I just wanted to hop on now, so when I do share that, please do share it around. It's free. I just want it to reach as many people as possible, because it's kind of all really that I can contribute. I'm not medical. I don't know anything about viruses. I can't help in that way, but I certainly can help in terms of people worrying, feeling anxious and panicked, which obviously makes situations worse. And this is what I wanted to just pop on now, and just share a little something around how we can be our own worst enemy. And sometimes it's the real simple things that we can do just to check in with ourselves and just to ground ourselves, particularly in stressful situations like at the moment. You know, I've stopped watching the news. I have stopped reading posts on social media because even someone who is quite experienced in letting go of thought now, after doing it for so long, and I know all of this stuff and I'm pretty good at it for the most part, I'm still a human being. And I realised I was binge reading far too much and my mind was full of it. And if our mind is full of it and it's constant, we're going to then have feelings associated with that. So I found myself getting more anxious than I would necessarily, but it's because I was watching far too many things. So obviously I'll be responsible and follow instructions and follow protocol and all that sort of stuff. No problem whatsoever, but I'm not going to read every little thing that I see. And I'm not going to watch videos. I'll watch nice videos, positive videos, people singing in other countries and keeping each other going, but I'm not watching videos about people dying and all of that sort of stuff, because then I think about that and it creates feelings of fear and panic, which are not going to help me in any way, shape or form. They're absolutely not. They're only going to hinder me. They're definitely not going to help me. And it made me realise one of the things that I used to do in the early days when I would get quite panicked and overwhelmed by stuff that I found quite helpful, and it sounds really basic but actually can be quite effective, is I would ask myself the question, am I okay right now? So when I was thinking back earlier today, when I was last couple of days when I've had a lot of this on my mind, and then I decided I'm not going to watch all of this stuff, and then I can remember, I almost could imagine what I would have been like had this happened, say 10 years ago. And I don't know for sure, but I can guess that I probably would have had fears that if I got ill, one of my things was particularly around breathing and respiratory. So this would have been really overwhelming for me, because the idea of not being able to breathe is one of the things that I would fear so massively. And so this would be something that I would have pictured myself in the worst case scenario of not being able to breathe, and it would have sent me into a complete panic. And ironically, probably made me feel like I couldn't breathe, because that's what overthinking and stress anxiety does to us. And what I used to do in those days, which, I would still do now if necessary, is I will just check in with myself and go, right now, am I okay? And 99.9% of the time, the answer was yes. Even if I'd been in a panic half an hour before or been in a panic in that moment, even asking myself that question during a panic, am I okay right now? That in itself can kind of ground us to going, actually, yeah, I am. Because anything beyond right now, we're guessing. And this is a perfect example of this virus. There is so much information out there, so many contradicting things, etc., etc. And I'm not saying who's right or wrong, because I don't bloody know. But I'm not going to try and figure it all out. I'm going to follow what the consensus is, what I'm told to do, because I follow rules and I'm a good girl. So I will do, and I wouldn't want to put anybody at risk. So I would be cautious. However, I'm not going to try and figure it all out. And if I feel overwhelmed at any point, I'm going to keep checking in with myself to ask myself if I'm okay right now. So if I went off and had horrible thoughts about what if I got really ill and what if this, what if that, I'm going to stop myself and I'm going to say, but right now, am I okay? And my guess is the answer will be yes. Because that is all I have guaranteed is right now. Not in 10 minutes time, not in half an hour, not in an hour, not in a days, a weeks, a month, none. And that's what is creating so much panic right now, is because that's what panic is. That's how panic materializes. It's future thinking. It's trying to control something we can't control. And this virus is a wonderful example of, it's not wonderful, but it's a good example of how things that are out of our control, and they panic us. They make people feel unsettled because people want to know, they want it over with, they want to fast forward a month's time so that they know they're okay, and it's not possible. And so to reduce the amount of suffering between now and then, when it all settles at some point, when that is, we don't know, but to create less suffering, the only thing you can guarantee yourself is right now. So if you feel overwhelmed and your thoughts are running away with you, ask yourself, right now, are you okay? Right now. If the answer is yes, stay with that. You have no crystal ball. And I know there'll be people who watch this and go, yeah, but statistics show this and statistics show that, and take it seriously. This isn't me saying, oh, forget about it, don't take it seriously. Of course it's serious. Of course it is, but I can take it seriously without panicking. Because I'll tell you something, nobody who is unwell or needs support or needs rest or anything like that is going to be made to feel any better whatsoever through panic. That's a guarantee. I can promise you that much. I don't need a crystal ball to tell you that. So panicking is going to be unhelpful whether you get a virus or not. And so instead of suffering through your thinking, instead of feeling so overwhelmed because all that's on your mind is all of these things that might happen, you know, percentages, statistics, that's all I'm seeing flown around. Stories of people dying, stories of people being left places. All of these things that, yeah, unfortunately and really sadly is somebody else's reality. But the only reality you've got is yours. And if right now you are okay, that's all you've got, stay with it. And if you find yourself getting carried away, trying to predict the future, trying to anticipate what it would be like, just remind yourself that you're actually really just creating suffering and not helping yourself in any way, shape or form. Wondering what might happen is not going to make you immune to the virus. And so it's unnecessary suffering. Yeah, and so if you find, so someone's saying here they've stopped looking and reading all the headlines, yeah, check in with what needs to happen. You know, I'm relying on, say, for example, the whole school thing, that I will get an email from my daughter's school if they decide she's not to go in. Until that moment, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. Yeah, check in with the news, even once a day is okay, but let's be realistic. If you go on social media, if you're out and about in the shops, if you are watching the TV, we are constantly reminded every second of the day about it. And it's too much. It's too much for our brains. It's too much wondering, too much information to try and process. We're trying to control the future. We're trying to wonder. We're trying to what if. All we've got is right now. All we're guaranteed is right now. Nothing else. So if you feel yourself getting carried away, yeah, so let's have a look. Thank you for this, as I've stayed pretty calm about it until the last 24 hours when I've been overwhelmed with it, as I could go into labour any time. Okay, and you're going to need to trust that your body, you're going to be okay. You're going to know what to do and you're going to get through it, okay, regardless. And I think there's been a lot more sort of hysteria and panic in the last couple of days because the media and the intensity and the, you know, Boris's speech and this, that and the other has increased. And so we've got more thought about it. And the more thought we have about it, the more intense we're going to feel about it. And that's a perfect example of how this works. So it's okay for you. It's not irresponsible for you to not binge watch and read every little bit of information. Keep yourself informed, but keep it balanced. Yeah, make sure you're still laughing and joking with friends and family. Make sure you are connecting with people, even if that's not in the flesh, that you know that you are talking via messenger, or just keep connected. And don't feel that you're not taking something seriously if you're not constantly panicking about it. We can still laugh and joke. And it's okay to feel nervous about the uncertainty. Of course it is. We all get nervous about uncertainty and unpredictability. It's part of survival. But there's a difference between feeling nervous and a little bit apprehensive and feeling completely panic-stricken and in fear constantly to the point where we feel really anxious. And I suppose that's the difference. So what's making me anxious is the media using terms like deadly virus, not saying it's not deadly, but then to use it to scare people, then others don't help panic buying and so on. I'm worried about my daughter and others yet. Of course. I said right at the beginning of this video, I'm going to do some videos over the next few weeks for families and things, so keep an eye out for it. I will share it here on the page, just to try and help as much as I can. But you're right. So do you know what? Limit the amount of social media that you're reading about the virus. If I see something about the virus, I just scroll on. I will keep up to date with the news, etc. Once a day, and I will, do everything I need to do to be responsible, but I'm not going to click on every single article that I see that pops up, because do you know what? It will probably make me feel terrible. And no matter what happens in the next days, weeks or months, I don't want to spend all of that time suffering and worrying. So yeah. People go through things differently and they deal with it differently, may have the same problems, but they all handle it differently. Yeah, absolutely. We all do, and we'll all deal with things in our own way. But one of the things that I see so often that's unnecessary is suffering, is mental suffering, because people are trying to predict too much of what might happen, and it's creating distress for people. Thanks for this video. It helps. It's getting too much now. Okay, yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? But remember, what's getting too much right now, because the chances are, because you're on here, I know that you're okay, that what's getting too much is your thoughts about it, is your predictions, is your what ifs. That's what's getting too much right now. The thought of it's getting too much. And we can let that settle. Yeah. Of course it will. Everything always does. Nothing stays the same. So I just thought I'd share that. Please do share it with as many people as you can, because there's so many people now just panicking and worrying and stressing. And I just wanted to pop on just to say it's okay for you to ground yourself. So please do share, and I'll speak to you all soon.